Welcome students to our Rayat online school education, that is Rose project of 2021-22. Myself Tidekar SM from Sadguru Gadge Maharaj College Karad. My subject is English. Students, today we are going to see section 3, that is a writing skill from your textbook. The topic today is 3.4 interview. Now, let us see the origin of the word interview. The term interview is derived from the French word interview, meaning to glimpse or sight between or see each other. Now, let us see some definitions of an interview. First definition, an interview is a formal, oral or face-to-face communication. Next definition, an interview means a formal meeting between two or more persons for specific purposes. Now, let us see the introduction of an interview. In this question, we have to frame only questions for an interview. Though it is an imaginary interview, you have to frame questions as if you are going to take an interview. You have to set 8 to 10 questions for an interview. We have to set questions to take an interview of any famous writer, poet, singer, artist, player, social worker, award winner, scientist, actor, actress, businessman, or ideal person like principal, teacher, farmer, doctor, engineer, father, mother, student, etc. Now, let us see the nature of an interview. An interview is essentially a structured conversation where one participant asks questions and the other provides answers. The word interview refers to a one-to-one conversation between interviewer and interviewee. An interview may also transfer information in both directions. An interview is a formal meeting between two people, that is, interviewer and interviewee. The interview is conducted to ask questions and obtain information from the interviewee. Now let us see what is an interviewer. An interviewer is the one who asks questions. Now let us see what is an interviewee. An interviewee is the one who answers the questions. Now let us see do's of an interview. First, imagine that you are actually interviewing the person and frame questions accordingly. Next, write only interview questions. Next, the questions should be relevant to the situation. Next, the simple questions should come first. Next, you should ask only questions at one time. Next, the questions should be apt to the person to whom you are going to ask questions. Next, there should be proper sequence of the questions. Next, questions should be polite. Next, there should be proper beginning and an end of an interview. Next, do frame WH questions skillfully. Next, questions should be relevant to the topic. Next, questions must be clear and grammatically correct. Next, questions should be based on the given points or hints. Next, some questions should be assisted with statements to make it more convincing. So students, these are the do's of framing questions for an interview. Now let us see some don'ts of an interview. So, see first, don't write answers of the interview questions. Don't ask more questions of yes-no type in interview. Don't ask more questions in one question. Don't repeat same questions. So, these are the some don'ts of an framing questions for an interview. Now, let us see. There should be 4 types of questions. What are that 4 types? Let us see. First one, introductory questions. Next, content questions. Third, probing questions. Probing questions are the questions which are useful for finding out more details. Next, closing questions. So, these are the 4 types which we can use for framing questions. Now, let us see next slide, that is points to be covered for asking questions. What points are necessary? What points we can use for writing answer? First, introducing the guest. Next, inspirations. Next, problems/struggles. Next, family support. Next, achievements. And last, dreams/message. So these are the points which we can use for writing the answer of framing questions for an interview. Now, while writing, we can welcome that person in the beginning. You should welcome the interviewee before starting an interview. For example, we can welcome that person by using these words like, in the beginning of an interview, you should greet in the following way, like, welcome sir, or welcome madam, or good morning sir, good morning madam, good afternoon sir, good afternoon madam, good evening sir, good evening madam, or we can say like, glad to meet you sir, glad to meet you madam. I would like to ask you some questions. If the person is a gents, you can use sir to greet him, or if there is a lady, you can greet her by saying madam. So before closing your interview, you should thank the interviewee who has given his/her valuable time. We can thank that person by using such a words like, for example, at the end of an interview, you should write, thank you sir, thank you madam for sharing your thoughts, ideas, plans and achievements. They are encouraging and inspiring. They thank you once again for the valuable time you have given. All the best for your future plans. Now, let us see one example of framing questions for an interview. See the question. Imagine you are supposed to interview a famous social worker in your region. Frame a set of 8 to 10 questions to interview him/her as per the following points. First point, introducing the guest. Next, inspirations. Next, problems/struggles. Next, family support. Next, achievements. And last, dreams/message. So these points are given here to write the answer. And while using these points, we can write answer like this. For example, first of all, we can welcome that person by using such a words like, today we have a very special guest in front of us. He is a famous social worker in Maharashtra, Dr. Prakash Amte. Welcome, sir. May I ask some questions to you, and then ask questions. First question, how did you become social worker? Second question, who is your role model in this field? Third, which policy would be better for the betterment of nation? Fourth question, would you like to share any remarkable experience with us? Fifth question, what problems do you face when you work actually on the ground? Next, sixth question, how do you get such a huge energy to serve people? Seventh question, who is your role model in this field? How do you balance your social work and personal life? Ninth question, what are your future plans? Last question, that is 10th, what message would you like to give people, especially the youngsters, to enter in this field? So these are the questions. After that, we can thank that person by using words like, thank you, sir, for sharing your thoughts and experiences. They are encouraging and inspiring. Thank you once again for giving your valuable time. All the best for your future plans. So students, see, this is the one example which we have taken here, and you can frame interview questions like this. Now, let us see the marking scheme of this question. Appropriate framing of questions, it has 2 marks. Language and style, it has 1 mark. Overall impression, it has 1 mark. Total 4 marks. Okay? Thank you, students.